Welcome here into another episode of Teal The Show. The Jaguars bye week officially in the rearview mirror. But before we start talking about the Las Vegas Raiders, we got to talk about the rest of the season. Jaguars still have a long way to go, so we'll spend tonight looking ahead. What's next? Where do we think it's going to end up? And is it going to be a fun ride? It's always a fun ride. Of course, for every ride here on Teal The Show, you can't do it without the man, the myth, the Kyle.
All right, that's a pretty cool intro. I'll take that. But yeah, it is good to be back in game week. I know last week was a little slow, but we're hitting the action now for sure.
Yeah, if you check in on the pulse of Jaguars fandom, there was a lot of stuff swirling, and you could tell sometimes you just need a game. I feel like sometimes the fans need the game more than the team needs the game, especially after the last two games. So sitting at 4-3, and you lost the last two games, so people not exactly at the best temperature out there on the team right now.
And then you mentioned everything going on with BTJ, and it's not a good mix right now.
No, it's not a good mix. But you bring up the BTJ stuff. So over the weekend, there was a report that the Jaguars are listening to calls for BTJ, even if The Athletic does caveat it with that they're unlikely to deal him. That sends people into a spiral. Here's the thing. I want to go ahead and explain this, and then we'll hear from Coach in just a second. There's a difference between listening to calls and shopping, right? If somebody calls me and offers me an extended warranty on my car and I picked it up and listened, that doesn't mean that I'm interested. It just means I heard what they had to say. Right, Kyle?
That's exactly right. They try to call me all the time. Halfway through, I probably hang up, but just like you said, we did ask Coach about it, or well, actually, we just asked him about BT. He brought up the rumors, and so let's hear what he had to say real quick.
I am very optimistic. We have no plans on moving Brian Thomas Jr. At all. Saw something about that over the weekend. I talked to him for a good amount of time this morning, and it's just a good reset for a lot of these guys to come in fresh, 4-3 with everything ahead of us. Regardless, good, bad, or indifferent, what's happened in the first 7 games, we all have an opportunity to write a narrative. We own the narrative, and so I got a lot of confidence in him. I really do believe that we can turn the corner and get better in the pass game that way.
There it is. Look, he said it himself. BT's not going anywhere. They're not shopping BT. Answering a phone call. Hey, I'm going to listen to you too so I can go and Gladstone walks down the hallway and tells Liam about the crazy person that just called and tried to trade for their wide receiver. Brian Thomas isn't going anywhere. It's been a rough, it's a sophomore slump for sure. But that doesn't mean you just jettison the guy and move on, because then you take what's a problem and you make it an urgent problem. I mean, it's not like there's just a built-in replacement for the guy you thought was going to be your no-questioned wide receiver 1 on the roster or even on the trade market. So you can't. You're making a weakness at that point. Now, if they lose to the Raiders, at that point, all bets are off. But until then, they're in win-now mode. Can't trade Brian.
Let's not speak that into existence. but I do want to know, are you optimistic that BT turns it around and maybe gets things going?
I think at some point he will figure it out. I think there's some growing pains with the new offense, and some of this stuff is just odd. He's definitely in a slump. I'm not sure if there's an injury we don't know about or what it is. I'd like to think that at some point the wide receiver that you saw last year comes to light. And some of that is right now they're asking him to do things that he wasn't asked to do in the previous offense. And maybe he's just not good at those things and doesn't want to do those things. So Liam Cohen has to start playing Brian Thomas to his strength, and that's let him make plays outside the numbers and down the field. He doesn't want to go across the middle. That's maybe just not who he is. And if that's not who he is, he can still be very dynamic going down the football field and making those plays outside the numbers. So play your guy to his strengths and let him go do that.
If it's going to happen, it needs to happen quick, because I feel like if he can turn it around, that changes the offense completely.
Yeah. Look, if they figure out the passing game, the offense has been able to run the football. They've gotten away from it in a couple of games, but they've been able to run the football. The passing game hasn't been there. Some of that's on Trevor, but a big chunk of that's on his receivers, Brian, Parker. I mean, those guys have been dropping passes. De'Ami Brown dropping passes. The receivers got to catch the ball in order for them thing to kind of get rolling. And if you can get Brian going, then everything else starts to kind of fall into place.
All right, now speaking of receivers, there have been some talks about some trades or just bringing in somebody. Let me, if you could bring in one guy or one of the names that we've seen, what is the one name that you think would make a big difference coming to this team?
If I could bring in one guy, give me Jacoby Myers. Give me Jacoby Myers. He's a wide receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders. He's a big body guy. He's sure-handed. And I think he's exactly what the Jaguars need right now, because they're not getting that from De'Ami Brown right now. So you go and get Jacoby Myers. He would be a one-year rental possibly, but I think he would be the guy that I would add to the mix in that wide receiver room that all of a sudden I think would help them to take a step up.
Okay, Jacoby Myers with the Raiders. Hey, like
get on the plane after the game, buddy.
That could be the perfect way.
You know, just pack out your locker. Come on.
Another thing that could help the passing game is just like you said, getting better in the run or getting back to the run. We're going to hear from Travis Etienne on that coming up right after this quick break.
I wouldn't say we gave ourselves wiggle room. There's no wiggle room in the NFL. I feel like you can't take anything for granted. And I feel like for us to get to where we want to be at the end of the season, we just got to take it one game at a time. So
got to take it one game at a time. There's absolutely no wiggle room. Look, I heard the question. He answered the question, but let me go in and take 4-3 did not give them any wiggle room because they're actually playing catch-up behind the Colts. So, no, he is 100% right. They have no wiggle room. They're actually in a tight race if they even want to make it into the wild card. So, wiggle room is crazy.
4-3 seems like a good spot, but you drop a game that you need to win, and it can fall apart quickly, and you can be behind before you know it. So,
well, look at their schedule in a second. 4-3 does put them in a pretty good spot when you look at their roadmap the rest of the way, but it's by far not wiggle room. Wiggle room is you got one loss.
Yeah.
Wiggle room is you got no losses. 4-3, wiggle room.
But the bye week did come at a good time for this team, and we did talk to Travis Etienne, and he says the team's got to stick to what they know and also, focus on the main thing.
It just gives you a chance to refocus. I feel like it gives you a chance to just sit back, reflect, and just realize you have to fall in love with the mundane. I feel like we've been doing this for a very long time since voluntary OTA, just going at it. So it's kind of just getting up every day. Guys you can kind of get lost and just start looking down on yourself or just not attacking like you should. And I feel like having that bye week just give you a chance to reset. I know when I'm out there watching Sunday football, just watching guys do what they love to do, understand that this is a game, we signed up to play this, and just not playing, I feel like that kind of just makes me just wish I was out there playing. So why would I take Sundays for granted when that's all I'm guaranteed?
Can't take Sundays for granted.
Fall in love with the mundane. I love that. You got to be able to do the little things right so that you can do the big things right in the big moments.
Can't get lost in the sauce. All right, speaking of taking advantage of those Sundays, let's take a look at the Sundays the Jaguars have for the rest of the way. So here is the Jaguars' schedule, and we kind of got them highlighted, the games that they've already played, right? So you got a win against the Panthers, loss to the Bengals, a win against the Texans, a win against the Chiefs, a win against the 49ers, and those two losses to the Rams and Seahawks. But when you look at it the rest of the way, this is actually a pretty good schedule. Pretty good schedule, Kyle. I mean, you got the Raiders this week. Raiders are struggling, right? And you got the Houston Texans. Texans are kind of finding their footing, but they're struggling too. Chargers are a banged up football team. A lot of injuries for them. Cardinals are struggling a little bit and got some injury problems. Titans are terrible. The Jets are terrible. And so your toughest games the rest of the way, crazy enough, Colts, Broncos.
Right now, if on paper you are correct, but this is the Jaguars. If they beat the teams that they are better than at the moment, everything should work out fine. But I just have a feeling some of those games are going to be closer than we think. They just have to, like you said, focus on the main game in front of them and take it one game at a time. And that starts with the Raiders. But they do have a long way to go.
Every game is one score for the most part. Any given Sunday, blah, 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 blah. But when you look at it, so you're at 4 right now. So count them with me, Kyle. We got 5 if they beat the Raiders, right?
Yeah.
Which I think that, on paper, that's a dub, right?
Yes.
All right. Texans game. We want to split with the Texans?
I would say split with the Texans.
All right, so we'll give them an L on that one. Chargers right now. What you think?
It's home. I'd give it to them.
All right, so 6. Cardinals.
I'd give it to them.
7. Titans.
Is that the away one or the home one?
Let's just do both at the same time.
I say you split with the Titans.
Split with the Titans?
I'm sorry, Jamal.
Titans are terrible.
All right, fine.
No, for sake of conversation, we'll split with the Titans. I think they'll sweep the Titans. They should not lose to the Titans are terrible. If Mike McCoy, interim head coach, beats this team, we got a problem. But okay, 8. That's fine. Cool. Jets?
That's a win.
That's 9? All right. Do the Colts finally win in Jacksonville? Because if not, you split with them at minimum.
I think you split with them.
So you're at 10. You're at 10 wins. I think 11 because I think you don't lose to the Titans. All right, and I haven't even asked you about the Broncos. I could go either way.
You could, yeah. Let's just say that's a toss-up. 10 wins right now, and you don't the Broncos in there. I'd take that.
That's 10 or 11 wins. Because you got 4, and I know the sky felt like it was falling because they lost 2, but the rest of the way, the Titans are terrible.
This is true, but they have to take care of business, and they have to win the games they should win.
Starts with the Raiders. You do, and that's what good football teams do. And so far, I mean, for the most part, they've won the games we expect. I didn't expect them to beat the Seahawks or the Rams. I also didn't expect them to beat the Chiefs or the 49ers, but they took care of business there. But we expected them to beat the Panthers.
That's true.
And we expected
so far,
them to beat the Texans. And they almost beat the Bengals. Should have won that game. So far, the game, even looking at it now, with what we know of their first games, which ones did you expect them to win?
I'd say Panthers.
Okay.
Texans.
Okay.
And then I picked them to win the Chiefs, but I wouldn't say I expected them to win the Chiefs.
So what you're telling me is so far they've won the games they're expected to win?
Yes.
Okay, so you see what I'm saying? Now, if something goes wrong against the Raiders, you can't lose to Old Man Carroll. But right now, they've won the games you've expected them to win and a few that we didn't expect them to win. They've got 4 wins under their belt. Again, I know it feels like the sky's falling because it's been a rough 2 weeks, but those are 2 really good football teams. And the rest of the way, just being generous, we're at 9-10 wins. They're at 9-10 wins.
So it should be a good rest of the season, hopefully.
I mean, 10 wins is going to be knocking on the door of a playoff spot. Knocking on the door. I mean, it doesn't lock you in because you probably got to catch the Colts. You probably need, at the rate the Colts have been rolling, unless they stack up a couple untimely losses, you got to win this one on December 7th. And then you hope that it comes down to where if you beat them on the 28th, maybe you can take the division from them. But that's going to be tough. But you got to take care of business the rest of the way. A win against the Texans would definitely help. And that next one when they go to Houston. But look, the rest of the way, this thing's kind of easy.
I mean, it's kind of easy, but
I'm not saying nothing. I'm just saying it's kind of easy.
The Raiders is the main one. We'll have a lot more to talk about that for sure.
You're stuck on this week. You're stuck on this week.
We can't look ahead.
We got to look at the big picture. Look at the big picture, Kyle. 10 and 11 wins if they roll the dice. Which I also did say 10 going into the season, didn't I? Or was that 11? Either way, I'm still pretty consistent. Double-digit wins. If Liam Cohen can secure double-digit wins in year 1, even if they missed the wild card, let me go ahead and tell you that is a successful year. That is a successful year. So we'll see. So sky's not falling. Bye week's over. We'll talk more about the Raiders, Kyle, on Friday, okay?
Yes, we will. The
main thing, be where your feet are. I've heard all the coaching cliches. We'll talk more about the Raiders game, which is the next one, which makes it the most important one, so we can make you feel better on Friday night, all right? So we'll talk about that one. We'll see if what the Jaguars got to do to get a dub. We appreciate you spending some of your Monday night with us here on Teal The Show. We'll see you Friday night, 11:20, right here, same place, same time, same channel. Good night, everybody, and go Jags.